We're talking about Okoboji.
Felt like that.
We're
was part of
rolling.
it.
We're rolling.
Dude, man.
Roll the tape.
Let's all talk at once when we get it. When we get it, let's.
Are we allowed
That's
to
a
drink?
great
this?
idea.
Oh wait.
You just can't.
Always.
You just can't identify the beer you're drinking into the mic.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get through this.
And we're done.
All right. Well, we're here at the Whitewall Sessions with General B and the Wiz. I don't know what that was that came in.
Koozie.
Take two.
Safety
Koozie
first.
coming in hot.
Safety first.
We're here at the Whitewall Sessions with General B and the Wiz. Welcome, guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much here.
This has been a fun session. You guys are a really lively, great band. Quincy, can you introduce the guys?
Sure. So to my left is Kevin Kokenauer. He plays bass guitar for General B and the Wiz. And then there's Seth Doohan. Myself, I'm Quincy. Seth Doohan plays guitar. Quincy Voris plays the vocals.
You're killing it, man.
Kyle Holder, he does the drums. Frank plays the keys. And Kai Brewster is the other guitarist.
All for General B and the Wiz. Let's be clear.
This is General B and the Wiz we're talking about right now.
Keep going.
All right, well, thank you.
And you are from Minneapolis, Minnesota, the great city of Minneapolis, the Twin Cities.
That's correct. Yeah.
How long has this lineup been together?
This particular lineup, a year with Frank.
With Frank, yeah.
Frank joined us a year ago, and then Kyle joined us 5 years ago.
Yeah.
But we started this project, Seth and I, 10 years ago.
Nine
9 years.
9 years ago, yeah.
And then quickly added Kai and Kevin once we got things rolling. So yeah.
Well, the musicianship in this band is really, really something. I mean, there's space for everybody, and everyone's taking as much as they can out of that space. It's really, really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
How do you divvy out those spaces, or do you just find them when you're practicing?
Yeah, it comes from we write together, all in the room, kind of banging our heads together and seeing what we can find. And a lot of it is just that playing together for a really long time. Like they said, you start to know how people are going to move and play, and what sort of choices they're going to make, and then you can kind of make your own choices around that. So it can be a challenging and a really fun way to write.
And it's actually something that we're kind of constantly working on, is making sure that there is space for everybody to play what they want to play, and what also fits.
You know,
So
what they hear.
It's a conscious effort to make sure that there is space for everyone.
Is that
we're not
hard to
stepping
do
on it.
with this band, or is it find pretty easy?
I mean, we have a tendency to overcomplicate things and then go, let's step back. And so like we kind of like flex as much as we can in the writing process, and then we just want to pull back and be like, what actually sounds good?
But at the same time, we're such good friends. Like this is, we spend how many hours a week together? It's
Too many.
Yeah, but it's a natural thing to like throw out some criticism and throw out some tips and work through that. And I think it's just the way that we play off of each other works so well that we make it happen, even if it takes a little bit longer.
Sure.
But,
Yeah. I think the coolest part about this band is it's never been like, I wrote this song, this is my song, this is how you guys are going to play it. It's, oh, hey, check out these chords. They go together well. Or like, dude, check out this riff. Or Frank's got an awesome piano part or something. And then a song will evolve from that.
Really?
And it's the only band I've ever been in where it's been like a very collaborative and fun. It just makes writing like very fun.
So the music sort of comes first, and then the lyrics and the idea of the song, or does it go?
yeah, I would say most of the time.
Yeah.
But Quincy, he comes with. We're working on a song right now that he pretty much had, the foundation ready to go, and he had his words ready, and he had some progressions ready, and we just kind of built on that. And things change, and it ebbs and flows as we go. But every now and then that'll happen where one of us will come with, some sort of idea that we want to really build off of.
Sure.
Yeah, like for instance, "Screw," the first song that we played tonight. I kind of thought of the melody and the parts on a bike ride, and then I think I sat down with you at the coffee table like right as I had that idea fresh, and then you helped work on the
Well,
riff.
and then we made like a super complicated riff that was like fun for the two of us, and then we brought it to the band, and then it was like, oh, this is way too this sounds cool, and then
And so yeah, so it's we bring whatever we got right at the time, and we record it. You know, voice memos are great. You know, we can do so much with like our smartphones and whatnot, and just like kind of pass around ideas. So we like to record what we're actively working on and shop it around.
So if you
Yeah,
picture
it
a
does.
scale of complexity of songs, from Ramones to Rush, let's say, you know, fairly simple. Where do you all think you start and end up, or do you usually start in one place and stay there?
Say about an 8.
Between Rush and Ramones, we're at an 8.
we're at an 8.
Super helpful.
If you want to do a band, I mean, obviously, like I can attest this because I've been in the band the least, you know.
You're more of an
years.
outside perspective.
Indeed, I was a fan of the band that then conned my way into joining the band. And the thing that's always driven home was this, the level of musicianship of like, you know, 70s rock stuff like Led Zeppelin, where it's like these things that are really hard driving, but when you actually go and dissect them, they're these really complex melodic and harmonic and even rhythmic ideas. Like meter wise, there's all these songs that have these like interesting breaks and stuff like that. So I don't, it's not like proggy. I think it's just that that sort of 70s rock feel that is requires a lot of technical virtuosity, but also is really approachable for just a regular person in the audience who just thinks the song rocks.
Yeah, there's a delicate balance there between, you know, super musicianship, because that's all they had. They didn't really have a lot of effects or, you know, computer wizardry. They had to just really play it, but to be able to deliver it to people who like it, you know, that's tough. Speaking of sort of that 70s era, Quincy, a front man.
Okay.
You know, you think of your legendary front men, you know, your Daltrey and Jagger and
Yes.
Plant and those. That role can have a lot of pressure, and it's a really important role. How do you approach that? Or do you just do what you want to do and it follows you?
I mean, like when General B and the Wiz started, it was just Seth and I playing acoustic guitars in our dorm room, playing Tenacious D songs, to be honest, and just doing like Jack Black,
yeah.
Jack Black, not the other
white.
the white one.
Not there
but
yet.
like,
Jack White too.
Not there yet.
you know, like we would play music and just have fun with it, and like I think that sort of like play has been just like a super liberating thing, where Seth is an incredible guitarist and I know enough to write, but I definitely want to have fun. So I think like having fun and interacting with an audience has been kind of like number one for us. Is it's
For
just-
you, I think specifically.
Mhm.
And I actually think we're pretty hard on you, but that's actually we're hard on Quincy, but at the same time, Quincy, we've made up a slogan for him: all pride, no shame.
Oh,
So if you
great.
tell him he can't, if you tell him he can't do something, he's gonna do it. And, you know, like when we would do a lot of Zeppelin covers back in the day, and I think Kai, you mentioned a couple days ago that you would sing the Robert Plant parts, and but then, you know, Quincy, and that was before Quincy had really like explored his rock voice. But then because Kai was doing it, Quincy stepped in and was like, well, you know, screw you, I can do this way better. and
he was right. He was absolutely right.
And I think that's been sadly enough really integral in your development as a singer, and I think it's good to keep challenging you. We always try to challenge Quincy.
Well,
That's
this,
the
is,
thing.
this is a band of really good singers, and when we, you know, we're doing mic checks, it's like every one of you could be, you know, is a great singer, but somehow Quincy has to rise above, and the way you delivered it, I thought was that's a fine line to walk, you know, or dance or whatever you want to say.
And like a lot of it is just like we want to be entertaining. We want to have fun. Some days my voice is shot, but I'm gonna go and give it everything I got. And whether that involves a little bit more like crowd work or just, you know, just going out and having fun with my buds. Like they write really awesome riffs, and like I still like want to live in the music and what's happening. And so, yeah, this wants to be plan A. And so we're gonna keep playing and like doing shows.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think what Quincy just said, I mean, that kind of speaks to the way that we approach shows, though, as a collective, as a group. We want to give whoever is in the audience a good experience, and we want them to have fun. We want them to feel like they can just let loose and be themselves. You know, if it's a Friday night, they just had a long work week, unwind a little bit, and if that means that we got to like be goofy and have some fun and just play some music for these people that came out to see us. I mean, that's what we want to do. We want to provide
Yeah.
for the audience. And I think that is, I mean, when I'm playing drums, that's the first thing I'm thinking about is the crowd.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if it's a crowd of 100, doesn't matter if it's a crowd of 13. We still want to give everyone who's there to watch us and to support us a good experience.
Sure. Have you ever hit a crowd that it isn't working? I mean, like the Blues Brothers and Bob's Country Bunker. You know?
Yeah, actually. Let me just
Yeah.
tell you this one experience. I'm sorry. I'm going to jump right in here.
Yeah, go.
All you.
It's because we were in Green Bay, and I said,
No, this is actually at a wedding.
it was at a wedding.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake of making a Packers joke. And we were in Green Bay. I had several. And I'm a Vikings fan, a big Vikings fan. And we I think that's the only time we've actually legitimately gotten booed.
Yeah.
Really?
But I think you said something like as clear as Packers suck.
You could have been a bit more impactful in your joke.
Whether or not it was a joke.
It wasn't a joke.
It's more of an
Just an
invective.
attack.
Other than that, you know, it's never been this thing where it feels extremely uncomfortable. I think we've played, like, as far as I don't think we like to play as much to people that are sitting down, but you know, today felt great, which I think was a good step for us. But you know, whenever people are out there and enjoying their Friday night or their Saturday night and having beverages and dancing and yelling at us and we're yelling back, that's when we're the happiest.
That's what you just thrive on.
Yeah, that's what we thrive on, that type of energy for sure.
Have you ever turned a crowd and look at their faces? They didn't know what to expect, and suddenly all this stuff is coming at them, and they're enjoying themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think that happens more often than not. Like Winona, we have a pretty built-in crowd, but with a name like General B and the Wiz, people don't necessarily know what to expect.
Right.
And I think oftentimes our audience is surprised by what we try to do, and it's not the most accessible name. So when they get to a show, they're like, "Yeah, we're seeing this band called General B and the Wiz," or they get a recommendation like, "I'm supposed to see this band called General B and the Wiz."
They're looking
Like,
for the
yeah,
accordion.
we're in that. You know.
Yeah.
We should get one of those, actually.
Yeah. But I think that's a part of it, that, you know, whatever we're doing, for whatever crowd we're playing for, we're going to give everything.
Yeah.
To try to rope in new fans. You know, that's a big part of this too. We have a built-in fan base in places like Winona and, you know, Minneapolis. But we're at the point now where we really want to expand and kind of, you know, extend our reach a little bit. And so this summer we're going to be playing a bunch of different places that we've never played. We've got a couple dates in Pennsylvania.
Really?
We have a couple dates in Canada because Seth moved up there. And so
Really?
that's another thing that's kind of been interesting this past year, is that Seth's moved to Montreal. And so whenever he's in town, we completely take advantage of that. But it works in our favor too, because now we get to play in Canada.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think when we play in new places, they don't necessarily know what to expect, but we also really want to just give everybody a great experience and a good time.
When you see that name on paper, you're like, what is this? Like, and so that's kind of like I think a huge testament to having started as a joke band. And I mean that's why the name is the way it is because it started as a joke. And I really like that. That's kind of the energy that we provide at a lot of shows, is this kind of like not almost interactive experience, but to the point where we joke with the audience a lot. So,
Sure. Well, it's interesting. I mean, General B and the Wiz, you think of a person and the band. And I see it written General Band and the Wiz, which would indicate that it's the band and a person. Right? The person is the Wiz. Was that intentional or did it just happen?
It just kind of happened.
B and next to each other is a general band. Some people spell whiz with an H a lot, which is fun. I don't know.
Cheese whiz.
Yeah. No.
So how do you get that energy into the studio? Is that a challenge or did it work for you?
I think that. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say I think that's always been the most difficult part.
Yeah.
Is capturing the energy of the live show with General B and the Wiz, but the way that we've done it in the past and the way that we did it with this album, which I think does. I don't think it fully does it justice, but I think it's as close as we've ever come. Is to play in a room like a live room, like the one we're in today, where we. The vast majority of the tracks are recorded at the same time. But I think we still could do a lot to improve that from an energy standpoint.
And we will. Like every single time that we go into the studio, we learn something new about how we want to record and do things and just try things. And so there still is that element of play when we track and record things. And, we, like Kyle was mentioning, like, we are such good friends that we're able to go and give and take some criticism. And if it takes us like half a day of just like trying to record a couple parts, like we'll do it. And then if we have to scrap it the next day, like, yeah, it stinks, but it's necessary.
Yeah.
And so we're willing to like take the time to put out an album. Skeleton took us 3.5 years, and like Kevin was saying, it's our best capture to date, and I think we'll get better at it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where did you record Skeleton?
We recorded it at the Hideaway Studios in Northeast Minneapolis.
Sure. Northeast?
Yeah.
Northeast, yep.
And that's a huge thing. Is this was the first time that we were actually like, I think we're a very like trusting band, because when we did our first couple of records like on our own, like we have microphones, we have a computer, let's go to someone's cabin, someone's basement, record these songs and put it out, but we knew that we wanted like that at the time, like a sixth voice in there. And so like when we're in the studio with an engineer, we practically picked the Hideaway because of the person who was the main engineer there. And his name's Joe Mabbitt. And he has a great track record, but he's mainly done hip hop. Like, I mean, he's done a little bit of everything, but he's kind of known for doing like hip hop, rhymesayer stuff. And like we jived with him, and he wasn't afraid to tell us, guys, that sucks, or like do something different there. Maybe like try putting this amp in this room. Try putting a gong right there.
Yeah, he's a drummer too, which was a fun
There you
perspective
go.
to have, because he had a lot of ideas for different auxiliary percussion, and he worked a lot with McNally Smith College of Music at the time, so we had different interns in there who also provided their input. And I think, like Kevin said, that does really capture kind of what we've done, or what we've been going for and how we present ourselves live. But at the same time, right now we're trying to record some stuff, and while our experience at the Hideaway was just incredible and it really captured stuff, we also are trying to practice a little bit of going into a recording space and getting input in our songwriting too. Because when we went to the Hideaway, we had not like 5 or 6 songs pretty much done, but Skeleton's a 10-song record, and so we wrote a lot over the course of those 3.5 years, and we kind of picked and choose what we wanted to have on the record. Whereas right now we are we're kind of going into a new stage where we're getting our songs ready, and we're going in there with a basis of what we want done, but we're also having input on how these songs should turn out, and different ideas and what could come next. So, if we go in there with a skeleton of a song, no pun intended, but the engineer can give us some ideas on where to go with it, and that's kind of fun too.
Yeah, so it's a different approach. Rather than picking the 10 best songs and putting them on there, now you're trying to write an album specifically. That's a different approach, definitely. Or do songs, do you say, well, that's not good enough for the album, but it's good enough for the live show? Or
Yeah, I don't think we don't have very many songs that we don't want on a record.
yeah, I shouldn't say good enough. I should say it doesn't fit.
Yeah, we've
And
had
that's definitely
we've
that's
had a few
definitely
where
happened.
it's like the song we'll play it at a show because it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
And we've crowd tested like songs before, and like the miracles at the orchestra.
It was the
terrible.
title.
It was a bad song.
I remember what we were saying, and it says about songs. There was a song called "Clink Clink," just
Yeah,
like we had a
nah,
song called "Chunk Chunk."
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
I like
yeah.
But it's like
It's like, we
we'll,
might
we'll
still
crowd
record it,
test
yeah.
songs before we, continue to write them further. And
I would say I've been interested in this band just in the way that songs, even after they've been recorded, continue to be rewritten, which is very interesting, and it's makes it exciting as a performer because it's it can be a drag to play the same song down at every show. I mean, just even like the songs we played today, at the last couple rehearsals, somebody will have an idea where it's like, what if we did this rhythmic thing or these like stop time hits here? It's like, oh, that's kind of fun. And it's not on the record, but it's like a fun live thing. And then obviously all the transitions and jams that sort of come between the songs, the way that those get written out is just, it's made it super fun to play with this band live.
Yeah.
That's
Like
only
if you listened to the song, the recorded version of Skeleton, and then if you listened to how we did that today, it's gonna be
Completely different.
Yeah,
See, that's cool. I like
different.
that.
And
that
I think
makes it fun for us.
one of
Yeah.
the things that we couldn't really capture today was our transitions. I think when we're playing live, we want as little downtime as possible. Mostly because we're kind of bad at stage banter.
We're really good at stage band.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Like,
It kind of depends on who you talk to, I guess. But we like to keep it going. And so, we've got the song called Infinite Connections, which is on our album Skeleton. And we blend that into our song Skeleton live. And we played the kind of jam prior to Skeleton
Yeah, that was good.
today. But we blend those together when we're playing a live show and when it's nonstop. And we do that a lot with a lot of our music.
That's great.
Which is fun, and that doesn't really translate as well to like a recording or a CD or whatever. Or it hasn't yet, I guess.
Mhm.
But we can certainly make that happen depending on what we've got coming up. So.
So the Minneapolis music scene, we see a lot of bands come down here, and we have a really good connection with all. It's historic. You go from Dylan to Prince to the Replacements. I mean, all these amazing bands that come out of there. Could this band have happened in another city, or does Minneapolis have a lot to do with the sound and or the feel?
I think this band could have definitely happened in another city. I think right now what we're seeing is that Minneapolis, it's a hip hop town, and there's a lot of awesome stuff going on in regards to hip hop and rap, and singer-songwriter stuff, and like the folksy kind of Dylan-esque is certainly very popular too. But when you look at like rock bands out of Minneapolis, since the Replacements, I mean, I think there haven't.
Steady.
Yeah, the Hold Steady too, and Craig
Yeah.
Finn. But that's
Pretty thin.
yeah.
Like
yeah.
you'll find great rock bands,
Yes.
but it's not just like
Tapes
it's
and tapes.
yeah,
Tapes and
it's not
tapes.
like
a great
they're-
rock band.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's not like they're hitting the mainstream like they once.
Sure.
Like the bands that are being known for being from Minneapolis now are all hip hop. Like Lizzo right now, she's like hitting huge, and
Mhm.
that's all hip hop. That's all that rhyme sayer stuff, like
Sure.
Dessa and Atmosphere.
right. A majority of our catalog has been written in college dorms
Mhm.
and just, surrounded with all of our friends. And, so I feel like if we were transplanted to any sort of college town with all of our buddies, like we would be producing the same music because the goal, I think, is the same. It's
A
just,
dorm
like,
room is a
have
dorm
fun
room, and the
and
energy
just energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
And we all kind of have the same spirit of rock and roll. Like we all have similar like super diverse influences, but very similar at the end of the day. Like we're all very much into a lot of the same music. But like this last summer was the first time I had moved from Minneapolis to anywhere, and I think like being away from Minneapolis, I think that this band could exist anywhere if we found each other. We've talked about like moving to Texas, moving to Austin. I think we'd fit in great there.
Sure.
But I mean, Minneapolis is home, and it's a great like town for a variety of music. But in terms of what's hitting the mainstream right now, it's not rock and roll bands. So, and I think that's just mainstream in general. You're not finding a ton of like guitar driven, sorry Frank, but rock and roll, like guitar driven rock and roll. And like even like a band that we listened to a lot in like 10 years ago, Portugal the Man, like we used to cover a ton of their songs like 10 years ago, and now they got like a #1 hit and everything. It's like, whoa, they can do that. Cool.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's,
That's an interesting question just on the point of music in general. I think has become less focused on what just with the internet. It's made everything a lot more globalized, however you want to, whatever term you want to use, because you just kind of have to exist in a scene that supports you, and we've had a lot of really good support in Minneapolis. It's an affordable city right now. It hasn't been hasn't been gentrified to all hell.
San
like
Francisco-ized.
San
or
Francisco.
Portland or something like that right now, which is virtually unrecognizable from what it was, even 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So that makes it kind of appealing to me. There was some interview I read where somebody was talking about by the time you hear there's a scene somewhere, you're already too late to move there. So, I think you have a little bit of work, at least as a band within a scene, to just, focus on building the community where you are and creating something that's buzzworthy or notable. But yeah, right now, and I would say there's just echoing what everyone else has said, the stuff that's been coming out of Minneapolis has been largely like hip hop, neo soul, and we're trying to kind of carry the torch for, along with bands like Four on the Floor or, I'm trying to think of some other.
Thomas Aban.
Thomas Aban more neo soul. Ruben, but for like, that kind of rock and roll kind of stuff.
So how did you all find the White Wall Sessions? And is this your first time in Sioux Falls?
This is our first time in Sioux Falls. We found out about it from Ruben. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a great
we
band.
did a tour with. I mean, they've been good friends back when we were in college. They contacted us out of the blue. I have no idea how they found us. They were like, "Hey, you want to do a show swap sometime?" Like a lot of times when you're a young band, that's a really good way to like find a way into a new market, is swapping a show with another band. And so we offered to set up a show for them in our college town of Decorah, Iowa, and they offered to set a show up for us in St. Paul. And when they came down to Decorah, it was like a night of the ages. We had a great show. We partied with them afterwards, found out we just get along with them really well. And that was like in 2010 now. And since then, we've done like countless shows with them. We're playing with them tomorrow night again.
Yeah.
We've done tour with them. We've gone to each other's weddings. Like it's ridiculous. They're
That's a
kind
great
of,
band.
as far as like bands goes, we would consider them kind of like our best friends. And so when they said they had a really good experience here, we applied and
Good.
then like totally forgot about it and got an email out of the blue in February like, hey, come down for a White Wall session. We're like, yep.
Well, that's great. Well, Ruben was a fantastic band, and we tell them hello when you see them.
Absolutely.
And we're glad they referred you to us. We're glad you guys were here at the White Wall Sessions. Everybody, General B and the Wiz, thank you very much.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for sticking
Thank
around.
you.
Hey, thanks again for having us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
To the cabin?